You
We
can
started.
get us started here.
Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our live stream on YouTube. It is a content creator's dream tonight. We are going to be talking about Canva creating and brand kits. This little session is brought to you by the Beonair network of media schools, which includes Ohio Media School, Illinois Media School, Colorado Media School, and Miami Media School. It is a project that we've put together. We call it the Content Creators Club. And our goal is really to help our own students and alumni and anybody in our network who's looking to tune up their content, create, be a part of what we're doing on campus, to join in and get to know some of the different tools in the tool belt that will make you more effective at what you do. We are very excited tonight. We have for you a very, very special guest. Girard is in the house. He's one of my favorites. He is an amazing creator, and he's also the National Director of Digital Media and Brand Management for the Beonair network of media schools. He is a Canva creator extraordinaire. Tonight, we've made the decision that it would be a great idea to bring you in on how to create your brand kit, from logo to colors to what it is that's going to drive people to your brand, help you to grow, or to the brand you're trying to help as you're working in the market. So I'm going to turn you over to John. He's got a great presentation. I ask you to stay in tune with what we're doing. Put your questions in the chat box. We'll make sure that John gets your questions in a timely fashion. And we're going to move through this hour and answer as many of your questions as we can. And by the time you're done, you are going to be ready to create your own brand kit. So with that, John, take it away. And we'll be here to assist you with the questions that come in.
Well, thank you, Linda, very much. I appreciate it. And welcome everybody to this, which will hopefully be a fun-filled hour of activity and get you really planted in the right direction for introducing and creating your brand kit. The actual process of creating the brand kit through Canva is pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. The hard part is putting all the pieces together, right? And so in your comments below, in the comments, tell me what goes into creating a brand kit. What goes in the kit? So I'll be waiting here, waiting for some people to respond. So this will be interactive. So let's jump in there and give me some ideas of what goes into the brand kit. Who's jumping out there? Who's going to be the first one? Color selection, yes. Someone, I think that was Beonair that gave me that. Logo, right? Angie Miller says consistent colors, logo. Enrique, your name, your logo, excellent. What else? Brand kit is what, why, and who. Excellent. We'll go into some more depth into that. Color scheme, fonts. I think we got it for the most part, right? Those are the pieces. Also, your brand voice. So think about where AI is moving to right now, and some of our rapid design tools like Canva. A lot of the AI is helping with also not only you creating an ad or for your brand, but also what is your voice, right? What is your brand voice? What is your brand messaging? I see Mandy says mission, vision, values. Yes, definitely your what is the purpose of your business? What is the vision? And what are your core values? Your core values will drive a lot of your brand representation and also your brand messaging along the way. So I'm going to jump in here. Let me jump to my other screen. I think just Linda, make sure that I am actually still viewing it. So when you go up to Canva, you're gonna see your default page, which is your underlying design page with any recent documents you have, also any designs that you want to create off the bat. In the Pro version, you'll see along the side this label called brand. And when you click on brand, you're going to be introduced. So you can see on my brand tab, I got Beonair, a brand kit for Beonair. I made up a quick one for media makers, not in love with it, so we may adapt that. And then a specific one for Jean-Paul Design Studio, which is something that is just a mock-up of if I ever were to have a design studio, that would be kind of my brand colors for it. Along the side, you'll also see, so you'll see the brand kits. You'll see the brand, if there's any brand templates. Right now, I'm not showing them all, but there's one brand template for a testimonial for one of the brands, which is the content creators brand. And then in here is your brand controls. So generally you'll see on my screen there, I have a team of 5 right now that have access to Canva and the design tools here. But you know, depending upon how much control, I would say I'm a little bit looser than most brand managers. So I don't restrict my current team members on brand colors, but you would have that ability to say the only 4 colors you could use are 4 established brand colors. And our orange is a certain hexadecimal code. You know, it's just not orange. It's a specific orange, right? Our fonts, we could restrict to the fonts that are in our logo or that are represented on our website. And then, you know, you could have it go through, in most cases, it would go through your brand manager or that person that signs off on final ads and designs at that point. So let's go in and let's get started on creating a brand kit. So you're just going to go over here and you're going to add new and you're going to name your brand. So I'm going to go back. All you're going to do is name your brand. Let's do it as if I just named John Paul Design. So I'm going to open up this one. And the first thing you're going to see is on this side, again, you're going to see your brand kit. Now, once you start new, everything's going to be empty, right? So you'll have no logos. You won't have established colors yet. You won't have established fonts. You won't have your brand voice in there yet. You won't have any underlying photos or graphics or icons. So this is pretty much your entire brand kit that you need to think about and develop. So I quickly just put together a few logos. I suggest you start with your logo. And the beauty of that is once you know, again, it's easy. You can upload your logos. You know, I went quickly in Design Studio and design these. But there's a lot that goes into logo design. So I kind of want to switch and just talk a little bit about logo design right now. So let me switch my tab or we won't be able to see it. And we're going to kind of share 10 principles of logo design here. Everybody see the screen? Yay, nay?
No, we're good. We're good, Jen.
Okay. I need to hear you because I'm not looking at this the presenter screen. Okay?
You're fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Let me go back to my screen now. So 10 logos of design. And this be Q&A. Linda, look at, make sure we're looking at the chat because I'm going to ask some questions.
Okay.
Anybody know, tough one here. Anybody know what this brand is?
Yeah.
Huh? Any? Tough one right here, right? Obviously it is, I'm sure in the chat, people have already answered. This is McDonald's, right? So this, I'm using McDonald's as a representation of, you know, what is a logo, what goes into a logo. So we have our, what do they call these?
The golden arches.
Golden arches.
There you
Perfect.
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So logos are made up of text and images, right? It's not just, sometimes it's just the logo could be an image or a series of images, or generally it's a combination of text and images that identify what the organization is often offering. Or in McDonald's case, it grew to be so well known that the golden arches represents fast food, and early on it was hamburgers, right? So ideally a logo will represent a brand to an audience while also differentiating it from the competition. What does would you be able to recognize Burger King's logo from McDonald's?
Yeah, feel free to put that in the chat. What
Mhm.
differentiates?
Yeah. What differentiates Wendy's from Burger King or McDonald's? But in your head, you could see, you certainly could see that image. And with the logos, really the best logos are meant to do is they're packed with meaning and perfectly communicate the industry, services, or the values. As I heard someone say early on, it doesn't always have to be a direct representation. It's a symbolic representation of sometimes the values of that company, so that consumers can speedily decide if it's for them. It's not always that way. Some logos just, the company's been around for 50 years and the logo has not been modified. Just that type of, you don't have that ability today to kind of build on a 50-year brand reputation. So you kind of need to make your mark pretty quickly there. And talking about colors, you'll see like each of my slides is kind of going to mimic the brand's colors here. But, all brands have certain colors, right, to represent. This is obviously McDonald's, and they're represented. Yes, it's red, but it's a very specific red. Yes, it's yellow, but you can see that it's a hexadecimal number. So their yellow for their golden arches is very specific, right? And really the golden arches are the stuff of logo legend. I mean, there's probably never been a better logo. There's some folks that are pretty close, but from recognizability internationally, Coca-Cola, maybe because it's right in the name. But from a purely image logo, probably McDonald's has got it made. But one of the things to note when selecting your colors, and we'll get into how many colors, what do most brands do. But the thing about color selection is don't just sit with the hex color. Look at it, print it out. Look at it in RGB. Look at it in CMYK. Because on what looks great on a computer screen might not look as vibrant when you're printing it out. So you may have to go with a higher level color just to get that out. So, take your time with selecting your colors, because colors also have a lot of emotional meaning to them as well, right? So once we get into the tips, we'll get into that. So the basic ingredients that make up a logo are your colors, obviously, your typeface, right? Your font, lines, shapes. Here you see FedEx has a negative space, which is big with logos, where we're seeing between the E and the X, we have an arrow pointing like going FedEx, going forward. They're a transportation and delivery company, right? So they make great use of that arrow by providing negative space. What is the negative space in Illinois Media School or Ohio Media School? Any of the logos for our brand? What are the aspects where you see negative space in these? What are we seeing, Linda?
No answers right now, John.
No answers? Okay.
Could it be those headphones right there?
The eye, what about the eye? What about the eye?
Right here.
Yes, the play button, right? That arrow inside the topper of the eye is a use of negative space. Someone said the A. Absolutely. That we're representing digital there, right? Or pixelated, right? The arrow inside the topper. Any other negative space you're picking up on? The O in Illinois, right? The two O's in school look like they were, yep. Yeah, they're a little bit tougher on this screen, but yeah, the O's are camera lenses with the white coming through, which makes it a use of negative space. So the challenge with our logos were that we have to specifically say Illinois Media School. When we're using the Beonair network, our main logo, we have to say Illinois Media School, Ohio Media School. So it does put some constraints on logo design with that. And we'll talk a little bit more down the way, but I think we were able to achieve some consistency. And you can see with the FedEx versus media, both orange, but different oranges, aren't they? One's more of a hot orange and one's more of a, what I call Texas Longhorns orange going on right there. So, okay, I'm going to jump back. Hopefully I jump back. Okay. And we're going to move on here. So the 10 logo principles, design principles is make it simple. Okay. That's rule number 1. And it's probably the biggest rule. If you think of all of your social media companies, for the most part, think about their logos, whether it's Facebook, now Instagram's newer logo, right? Twitter, X. What am I missing? TikTok. Probably the least I love in terms of logo design. Keep it simple. So what I got here is an example of, look at how in 1976 when Apple was formed, look at their logo. I can't even figure out. It's supposed to be a computer, I guess, with a screen in between and windows. If you've watched Forrest Gump, you recognize the 1977 logo. They didn't really make a change till 1995. 98, they brought really just the black. Then 2001, 2007, and look at back at 2015. Guess what returned? The 1998 version of that. It's as simple as you can get, right? It's an apple with a bite out of it, and black and gray are the two colors that are there. Not that they don't have derivatives of this, but it's a simple logo, and that's what makes it recognizable to everyone. All right, we all get in the early design phases, right? And we want to kind of show off all the tools. Oh, I want to drop shadow. I want to stroke around this. I want it, as much of 3D as I can get. Remember, a logo is going to be on a website. A logo is going to be on letterhead. A logo is going to be on all these different formats. So it has to travel well between these formats. Simpler is better. You're going to find the biggest brands have 1 to 2 colors. That's it. They might have an on and an off and a white and a dark, but for the most part, they're living with 2 colors and maybe 1 to 2 images that are brought together. It's not the best ones are not complex at all. Okay. Anybody know Chupa Chups? Anybody familiar with Chupa Chups? Holly, Linda, Chupa Chups?
And we have no takers in the audience.
No Chupa Chups. Chupa Chups. Indeed. So yes. Look at this design. It's fun. So step 2 is design for an audience, right? And Chupa Chups logo has changed over the years, but Chupa Chups, the script hasn't changed much. And guess who? Salvador Dali actually made their logo for them. Yeah, Salvador Dali. It's, they say the visual code. The visual is powerful, colorful. You could see on the side they're getting a little more products and psychedelic. Everybody probably remembers these from the candy and the lollipops, right? But now they're expanding kind of their line. And you look at those colors. You got kind of a greenish. I wouldn't call it a hot green. It's kind of so they talk about a bit motley, meaning the colors don't necessarily go together. It's not typical arrangements of colors, but for Chupa, it actually works. That lack of consistency in terms of the arrangement. You got a red, you got a yellow, red and yellow go, but then you got that weird green in there, right? Which kind of mixes it up a little bit. So they say it's motley, meaning it's not necessarily all connected. But for Chupa, it works well, actually. So designed for your audience. These are, Chupa was, adults like it too, but it was made mostly for targets the young and the young at heart. Okay. Make it memorable. And what they mean here is, and I'm going to look at you when I say this, make it memorable means, they talk about swoosh. You'll see in all the graphic programs now, you have the swooshy, what I call V people. They start out here and they go out, and there's all kinds of designs that are a dime a dozen and might be hot now, but won't last the test of time. So you kind of got to watch and don't be trendy with it. Question. What is the first one? Now, any of our students better get this for sure. What is that one that kind of looks like an A?
I got nothing. I think you gave a little hint there, John.
I think I gave a huge hint that you could drive a bus through, but I'm not seeing any action here. Adobe, thank you, Amanda.
Nice job.
We're starting to get a little worried. Oh, now they're flowing in. Angie Miller's now dropping in, later with things.
Giving everybody a chance.
Actually, Angie looks at you first, believe it or not. So, yeah, great work there. How about that next one? What is that a logo of?
Oh, I think people probably listen to that quite often, don't you think, John?
And that logo has not changed.
Not changed.
Since the day they rolled it out. What kind of news out flyer? I know CNN is what? CNN. What is CNN? What's the C stand for? Anybody know? Do you know, Linda?
I think you might have stumped me here. Give us a hint.
You know what? I'm trying.
All right. All right.
Who's the owner? Who was the owner?
Yeah, we're gonna Google that name.
Yeah, Google that for us, will you? And the last one is Bliv jumped the gun and said, "I heart radio." Yes, I took the radio out of it. There's usually the iHeart Media or our iHeart Radio. In this case, iHeart Radio. Right? All red, which is a powerful color, which represents power. So that's why you see a lot of red logos out there. So make it memorable. Tough to do, not easy for sure, right? Okay.
Got the cable news network, John.
Cable News Network. Oh, that was
25. There you go.
okay. Can't believe I forgot that. All right, number 4, make it timeless. Another challenge in logo design is achieving a modern yet timeless look. And I put 2 competitors up here, right? Anybody know how long Coca-Cola's been in business? Anybody? Okay, let's go with a long time, a very long time.
No takers, yeah.
Very long time. Very long time. And Pepsi was right behind them, not too far behind, but you could see the original logos for Coca-Cola early on had that very scripted font that is recognizable everywhere, and the little swoop that kind of mimics the flow of Coca-Cola in the text as well, right? But kind of gives it that drink kind of squish to it. And then what do we see with Pepsi? Pretty similar, huh? Almost like they went with that scripted, kind of left it at some point. And now you see, but what never leaves is that red, white, and blue swish pattern. They changed it up in 2008 to 2000, really until recently. They went with that. They changed the swish pattern that you saw on the cans, which I never liked. And look what they did. They kind of went back in time with their logo, but the colors remain the same and whatnot. What else is unique about Coca-Cola in terms of how you recognize them outside of their actual logo? What is also something that 120? So you guys did Google it. Excellent. Who's doing that? Is Howie? Are you on the Chiron for the media schools?
I'm sorry, it's me.
Okay, Linda. Yes, well, yeah, Derek, you're not wrong either. Definitely, that cursive font is incredibly recognizable for Coke. The colors used, you're not wrong either. The bottle. That bottle is patented and is recognized around the world. Pepsi kind of tries to play close to it and actually got fined and brought to court for kind of mimicking that bottle. So awesome. Pretty cool, though. Pretty cool that we're talking about, what did we see for Pepsi? 1898 for Pepsi, and Coke I got 122 years by somebody and 125. So Coke is even 125 years. Think about that as a brand. That's pretty incredible, to say the least. So make it timeless. Hard to do, right? Because these creations kind of became recognizable over time. But what we're trying to say is, don't make it something of today that's themey, because it will be gone tomorrow, is what we're saying. So tried and true types of things with that, right? Okay. Here's one. Make it versatile and scalable. And I kind of brought forward a newer company. I think they were 2013 they started, but you could see the old Slack logo, and then when they redid it in 2019, they changed out the colors a little bit. They went from 11 colors, because to recreate this across all their products, you see where it crosses over, that's a different color, right? So anytime you're like, everybody remember the Beonair logo? The original one before we rebranded? Anybody? I know folks in the system would, but maybe any of you remember the logo was round and it had kind of the rising, I call it the Japanese rising sun, kind of represented in the background. That had 256 colors represented in it. Yes, multiple colors can be very expensive to reproduce. And that's one reason we went to rebrand. One, to make it look a little more modern and up to date. But also, goes against, it looked good. It was a nice logo, don't get me wrong. But to reproduce and also just in today's day and age, the concept is to be minimalist in your design for recognizability. It's a lot easier. But definitely helped with the expense side of whenever you're creating flyers or banners or any types of promotions. So you also saw the 18-degree angle was removed, and then they felt like also they're a instant messaging and they promote collaboration. So those they wanted to go with more of that images, more quotes. You also see that the words Slack are thicker and more robust than the earlier version. So they changed out the colors from 11 to 4. So that reduced on the expense, but also they're a little bit more vibrant than what we saw on the original logo. Looks, they didn't. The other thing you want to do is, if you're doing a rebrand on your logo, is you don't wipe it out completely. You try to keep some of it because you do have some brand awareness from that. So don't go all out change unless you really think you can hook people across and communicate really well about it. I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just, it's a little bit harder. So a lot of companies go and slightly revise it, and over time make several revisions over a longer period to get to where they want to be, even though their first version might not be the one that they're ultimately going to stick with. Make sense? Okay. Number 6, use a quality typeface. Well, what makes it quality, John? So let's use Google as an example. 1997, you guys can see what their logo looked like. 98, they must have got some pretty immediate feedback that's really hard to read, right? So you really want to look at what makes a quality typeface is, one, that it's readable, how it's represented. 2, that people can recognize the business and recall it. The font style is distinctive enough for your target audience, or you're doing something with it to make it recognizable. Relevance. Does the typography style align with your brand identity, personality, emotions, and values? For Google, they have stuck with these 4 colors. You can see that specific blue, that darker red, that rusty yellow, and the green. That wasn't always the case. Those 4 colors were always the case, but you could see that the font style has actually changed over time. And they really, if you recall, how many can recall that they play around with the G in Google a lot? So the G in Google wasn't always blue, and that's kind of where on a given day they might get creative and stylize it differently. You could see it was more of a serif style font a little more formalized font. And they even, with their last revision, it's no longer a serif font. It's a sans serif font. It doesn't have any of the loop-de-loos or the pieces of that. The G is definitely very different. Kept with kind of the slanted E, but with a different format. It's playful, right? They wanted it to be bold, playful, and unconventional nature to it. So that's why they always played around with the G. But you want to create a logo that you're able to, you're going to make some brand revisions if you're in the business for a while, right? Some change it, like they change outfits, they're very often changing it out. But you're trying to build something that from a font, from a graphic standpoint, that you have something to build upon in the future. You're kind of building the foundation, but you're going to be able to add to it down the way. Any questions? Just put them in the stream down below. You can always stop me before we go on with the brand kit. Okay. Going on to number 7. All right. Different colors evoke different emotions. So be strategic with your color. Now look at all of these brands here. Many are recognizable, even without, if I pulled away the letters, you would still know what some of these brands are if I were to subtract the letters from those. And this is just a few. The most common colors used in logos of famous brands are first blue, which the color blue evokes feelings of calm, stability, serenity, and trust. Green is also trust. Red. Red is promotes energy, passion, action. Get this, 95% of brands use no more than 2 colors in their logos. 2, that's it. And if you only use one signature color, it can boost your brand recognition by 80%. So what is the lesson learned there? Linda and Holly cannot answer. Angie cannot answer.
You have no take.
Not allowed to answer. Yes, John. Less is more.
Always.
Less is more, right? Okay. Less is more. There's the reason why Marble's been around, ESPN, Target. I mean, perfect logo. Target, a Target, right? I mean, some things just work a lot better. One and done. Okay. Oh, very good. I like it. All right. So when we were thinking about our logo change, we wanted to keep, the owner wanted to keep the warm colors that were included in the original logo that had 256 colors. I didn't want 256 colors, but I respected the owner very much. And we really decided upon having that orange be our signature color, right? Accented by, in some scenarios, a black for our dark color schemes, and white for our lighter schemes. But we also thought, what color, before we went with the orange, what did we want to represent? What color represented what we do in our experience? And we thought orange kind of, if we didn't want to go red, we didn't want to go red, but we liked the ideas of energy, passion, and action that red promotes. So if you notice, our orange is close to a red. It's a hot orange, right? And it represents energy, vitality, cheer, excitement, adventure, warmth, good health, and success. And I think those are great core descriptors of our experience if one were to take full advantage of it. There's a lot of energy on our campuses. There's warmth. There's adventure by creating new projects, by learning new things, right? And ultimately, we celebrate our wins fairly well at our campuses and on our social media channels. So that's kind of how we came to really develop the Beonair, what I call the Beonair Orange, right? It's if anybody ever wants to use it again, it's pound FE 5000, pound FE 5000, pound FE 5000. That's where we use it. Or if you're using it in your design, put it in the brand kit. So I'm going to jump back over. We just have a few more before we jump back into the brand kit. So be strategic with color. It should look great in black and white. A logo needs to work either in grayscale, where you see this is not black, but it's in the grayscales, right? Up against our white. Black and white. And you can see here all these logos. If you do a search in Google on the best black and white logos, brand logos, you're going to see other derivatives, but you're going to always find Adidas in there. You're always going to find like Chanel in there, Gucci, Apple, and Nike probably. Those usually are going to be front and center because they scale well and they just look great on black and white. Love and even Puma. That's, I mean, just they look good up against black and white. My daughter would say Chanel is the one that she would select for sure. But and then we had to kind of throw these on black and white too. For our challenge was, and this Beonair network is definitely not the final version. There'll be revisions, but because of the technicality of having to have all of these sub-brands, because Beonair Network is kind of the umbrella, right? But then we have these sub-brands. So we had to create logos that backed into the national logo and vice versa. So I think these capture it. It would be easier if I didn't have to spell out Illinois Media School across the board and just do IMS, but by law, we could not do that. So we didn't have the same, we had greater inflexibility because of what we do for a living than maybe a shoemaker would have, per se, sports shoemaker or pocketbooks for that matter. All right. Let's go on to the next one. Make it balanced. And what we mean here is everything doesn't have to be on one side. It doesn't have to be perfectly balanced literally. But if you know anything about design and the golden ratio or the rule of thirds, the golden ratio, the golden spiral, there are things in nature that people just recognize more easily and know what they are, because in nature there's certain patterns, and a lot of the patterns go along this what they call the golden spiral. So the arc of anything you do could have, if you based the logo design on this concept, as your eye is drawn around this arc and into here, right? So whatever is the most, now logos are a little bit, this goes into more like developing scenes, film scenes, but it also applies to logos, because you could see Twitter consciously design their logo around the golden ratio, which is a math equation, but kind of takes this into concept of, you can kind of see where this would match what they're trying to do here, right? Not perfect. It's not, this isn't rocket science where you got to match it particularly, but when I tried to design this logo, I needed to have an element, because the text was so heavy. I wanted to have some type of element that drew your eyes back up into the eye for the play button, but also captured kind of what we did do. So these qualities carried through, and that's kind of like the same thing here. But in retrospect, I could have changed the font style a little bit to follow up, draw the eye around a little bit more, but it's pretty close to the golden ratio. And Holly, anything else you want to say about the golden ratio or the golden spiral or the rule of thirds as it relates to design?
You covered this.
Okay. I covered it?
I'm so psyched. Yeah. And especially with filmmakers out there, the golden spiral is a big.
Yeah. And you see it in a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
The golden spiral you see in shells.
It's also used too for filmmaking to not exhaust the viewer.
Yeah. And we got, if you want to learn a lot more about the golden spiral, you can go to our YouTube page, which you're already on, and you can search for that as well. I found, I didn't know what the heck it was at first. I'm not a trained filmmaker or designer, but after reading that, I find I'm using it a lot more in my designs, just to carry the eye to where I want to carry the eye to. So that's something you guys might want to, if you're geeks like me and even bigger geeks like Holly, you'll want to jump in there and learn about that. Just joking.
No, you're not. I like being a geek.
Okay. All right. Last one. Right? Or is my math off? I didn't change this, so in real time I'll change that. Okay. First, let me start here. This is Sherwin-Williams. So I'm asking the question, love, like, leave, meaning get rid of it. Love, like, leave. The Sherwin-Williams logo. Sherwin-Williams is located in Cleveland, Ohio. The headquarters are there. Phenomenal brand when it comes to paint. I will argue for Sherwin-Williams against any other brand.
Outlaw said, get rid of it.
Outlaw flyer. And I want to know, we also have the Love Doctor saying leave. Folks, why? What's the problem with this logo rebrand that occurred for Sherwin-Williams back in 15 or 2016?
Too much to look at, says Love Doctor. And then Outlaw Flyer says it looks like the world is in a bloodbath.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. You're pouring it all over the earth, and it's blood red. It's definitely a fail. Yeah, it's definitely a feel. People don't want to and it looks toxic to me a little bit, right? Any of your folks who like the environment, this wouldn't feel good to them, would they? This wouldn't go over in Colorado,
No, it wouldn't.
right? For sure. So, there's been logo, and mind you, there's been logo fields with big companies, not just, us newbies that are just starting out trying to build our first logo. But you got some really good ideas here. Here, let me just show you one more. And it's stay on brand. So Gap made the mistake back in 2010. They went from this logo right here that everybody knows if they've ever been inside a mall or two. I grew up when there was actually indoor malls. So I know there's still a few out there, but they changed to this. And within less than a week via social media, there was so much outrage that they had to go back, and they went back to their original logo. Ooh, wait a minute. Outlaw Flyer says, ooh, bad move. Me too. We have them here in Cleveland. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Peta Nightmare. Love that one too. Yeah. Yeah. The original works. Okay. So if you've been in a mall, you saw this, you understood Gap. When I was a teen, this was the brand. When I was a teen, this was when you went for clothing, this and Jordache jeans, which some of you on this call will not even know about, but Jordache jeans was it, baby, back in my day, for sure. And feathered hair. So, some good, some bad in there, right? So, all right.
Guess jeans. Oh yeah. Yeah. The jeans were, Levi's. Think about Lee, L-E-E. Yeah. They really know how to keep it simple, huh?
Outlaw Flyer, I wasn't there with Aquanet. You lost me on that one.
Oof. She's Aquanet. Oh, I missed that one. Oh, I had the big 80s hair and the big earrings, so I feel you. Oof.
There you
go. I'm with you.
Yes, you were. Okay. All right. Okay, let's double back now. So, let's look at what comprises. I gotta go out, don't I? Here, give me 1 second.
Hey, John, I just want to let you know we're at 7:25.
Okay.
I know the time moves so fast.
So I only got a couple minutes. Okay, that's
you can keep going. Just want
to. And then we can go questions. Okay. Let me share my screen again. I got to go with StreamYard. Take that off. And stop screen, present. And let's go back to brand kits. Okay, here we go. So we're back to the brand kit. Right now you have no logos. I introduced 3 logos inside of Canva, right? There you type in logo and you can find a lot of templates to get you started. You'll actually see in here somewhere is kind of my version of this. I went with logo plus what's the word I'm looking for? God, can't remember. But a lot here that can get you started. I wanted something that looked for Jean Paul. I wanted something that looked, pretty luxury. I wanted it to, have some scripted letters in here, and you can see quite a few in here. I think I stole this one and just adapted it for that, right? You could see that where you can get a starting point by changing out the letters, and if there's certain parts of the look you like, put it all together, right? Kind of cool graffiti if that's your name of your place. That would be a pretty good logo, I think, right? Okay, so let me go back. So you know, use the tools that are already there. There's plenty of templates. I'm going to go back to brand. I'm going to go back in here. Colors, you want to put in here your color scale so that when you're in a design, let me show you. When you're in let me get a more complex design up to show you. I'm going to actually do it from this page so I don't have to switch windows. So let's take this, for example. You can see I have my Beonair colors here. I have my Media Makers colors here. But let's say we were in, so go to brand. So once you're in here, select what you have, go to brand, and make sure you have the right brand up. You can see I'll have access to any of the brands that I want to use the color palette from. But let's say, I've used this graphic, I've used this color scheme before, but I want to change it up some. I want a quick change, right? I can hit shuffle, make sure you have the right color palette there. Hit shuffle, and you'll see it changes out parts of your scheme to give it kind of, again, a starting point, right?
I don't know if you're showing the right window.
Well, I'm not.
Okay. I was all excited. I was like, I want to see it shuffle.
Okay, let me. You know why? Because it keeps opening in a new window. So let me. So thank you for letting me know. Because
you're welcome. I was like, oh, where?
Yeah, let me.
Magic time.
Let me get back. Sorry about that. It's the only thing I don't like about StreamYard is the different windows. You can't pre-plan them. So let me stop the screen. Let me present again. Find the screen I want to use. I think this is it. Yeah, we'll use this one. Okay. All right. So back to this. So you see, now we're on the right one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say I've used this design already, which I wouldn't if I don't like it. But go over to your brand. Make sure you have the right brand kit up that you want to use for this. And then go to colors and hit shuffle.
Oh, cool.
It's not doing big changes here. So let me try it on another one just to show you if the earlier version showed bigger changes. You see how it flipped that? Now you might have to change out a color or two to get your fonts to show up on that, right? Or whatever. But if you just hit shuffle, you can kind of see the variations that are coming in of it, right? You're heavier one color than the other. And obviously the QR codes are something that you would have to remake and change out, but gives you a quick starting point to change things up, right? So again, let's say we weren't using this brand kit. We were using, let me just show you the current brand kit. So let's switch up the Media Makers brand, the Beonair, and now we're going to shuffle it again. Not huge differences, but you can see that it's shuffling through the various brand colors that are associated with it. You know?
No, that's cool.
That makes sense? Okay, so that's a cool little tool to use. Let me sneak back out and get back to my other screen. And I'll just present a few more things to get you guys going, and then I'll open it up to questions, and then we'll close it out. I don't want that. I want this, I think. Okay. Actually, I could have just went in here. So I'm going back to brand, going back to, I'll pull up Media Makers. You see the different logos that are there. The color palette, make sure the brand will only work if you add the color palettes in, put it in hex so you have it there, and then you can use it to switch out any templates you have. Once you make a couple templates, I make everything pretty much from scratch or use a template that's already in there, and then I kind of modify it and I play with it for like an hour, and that's just my creative process. But if you don't got that time, use one of these color palette tool to flip out the colors and a few graphics, and you're off and running. Your fonts, with fonts, again, fonts have meaning. So go through, read up a little bit on topology, so you know what the different fonts. So for Beonair, we use media. We use for media makers, we use Anton, and we use Abbas Noel. And I know I didn't say that right, but that's what we use. And for Beonair, our main font is Now, is our primary font now. Then colors, obviously I said your fonts. Here's a tool, an AI tool. So here is our brand voice. You want to tell when you're creating your design guide, which is your guidelines for anybody interacting with your brand. Right now, you're just laying it out, but you're going to want to create guidelines. Hey, you can't put text next to my logo unless it's 100 pixels away. There needs to be a 100 pixel buffer, right? Something to that extent. But you'll see the brand voice is more about the expression of the content, the narrative. So the brand voice of the Media Makers Content Creators Club is like the mentor you always wished for. The words should be uplifting, dynamic, and bursting with zeal to bring the best out of you. Picture yourself being greeted each day with an invigorating nudge towards greatness. Each message a blend of inspiration and a call to action that speaks directly to your inner creator. So think about when you're creating an ad or even an email to, in this case, the audience being the Content Creators Club members. It needs to be uplifting, dynamic, bursting with zeal, right? That's why these colors are this way. Would I recommend a logo that is this many colors? Probably not. Do I want to have an image that's this busy? Not for Beonair, but for my Content Creators Club, yeah. I want to share a splash of color and vibrancy, and it's loud and it's all that. So that's good, I think. So think about and use AI to build out your brand. Tell it what you want your messaging to look like, and how your audience, got to know your audience though, right? You got to know your audience to be able to do that. The last three are things it's more collecting. So that if you use certain photos over and over again, in this case, I'm going to build this up with bloggers, vloggers, content creators, people in front of microphones, in front of green screens. That's going to be my photos that I have. But quite honestly, Canva has such great photo tools that you can pretty much, you don't have to build it, but you can. Then graphics, and then icons. It's good to have color consistent icons that if you're putting on a flyer, it's easier to just snap those in. You already have them, rather than having to take them from somewhere else, recolor them, and do all that. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. John, there are a couple of questions.
Okay, a lot there.
Are you there?
Yeah, you see me?
I don't see your face, but I see your background.
Come closer.
Come closer. Come a little bit closer. There's a couple of great questions, and this is the Content Creator Club. So again, we can really see the need for continuing the conversation, right? Because I think every time you dig in, you want to dig in a little bit further. Oh, we're multi-screen.
I don't, and you still can't see me.
No,
Oh, I am there. I am there. Okay.
Oh, there you are. Okay, you're
Yeah,
the
yeah.
king of the screen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh, that's awesome. So, a
Okay.
couple of questions. We were saying that we probably could delve back in. It's endless, and I think every time you come back in, things start to make a little bit more sense, and you could see how you could use them in your everyday work. But let's take a quick second to talk about Canva Pro. We're not here to solicit business for Canva Pro or anything like that, but the tools that are available for free are very limited. And oftentimes you can create in Canva, but you can't take out of Canva when you're in the free version. So any points you'd like to offer about the Canva Pro and, maybe why it is a
Well,
great idea?
for such a tool that allows so many derivatives, whether you're creating ads, flyers, videos. I mean, you could do your video editing in there.
You could do
Some people like
resumes.
Captiva, some people like the Full Monty, but I do all my videos in here that I post. It's easier for me. It's you don't have as much versatility with that, but you could create captions in there. You could, you use AI to create backgrounds and images. So I think it's $14.99 a month. For some, that could be a lot, but to get these other tools, yeah, you can bounce around and find enough freeware to probably get this done, but it's going to take you a heck of a lot longer to do that. And so if you can afford it, this is a quick and easy tool that allows you to really put all the branding and templates in there that you want. I don't use all of it, but I use a lot of it. How'd you make different letters to be different shapes like the O? Well, a couple different things. You can search in your elements for different versions of letters, but like for the O's, I just used for the A, I used an A and then put a square over the top of it and then just added a couple pixels to it. To that. The O's down in school where we used to have school represented in, let's say, in black, and then the O's were in orange, but they were actually camera lenses, right? So I took so under the same elements tab, I searched for camera lens and found one that I could edit the color on, and then resize to that. And then what I had to do is on the white, let's say it was on a black background, I had to go behind that and make those two O's, the real O's, the real text O's that are there behind the graphic O's. I had to make those black, so it looked like you could see through it where in any of the negative spaces on that. So, but there's frames. You could fill a frame with graphics to make a letter. You could. I'm sure there's a couple apps in there now that gives you some ability to treat them more like vector graphics, where you're pulling on the corner of an F and making it this way or that way. So there's plenty of apps now that are free or inexpensive for like a one-time use type of thing on there. What other questions do we have?
You know what? To be honest with you, I think the payment of the app was probably the biggest question. And I think there's such a desire for this kind of information. And the truth of the matter is, we all know our eye helps us see a story, right? So when you're looking at things, your eye helps you see the story. But then having all the tools to implement what your eye sees is so valuable. And to have it all in one place is even more valuable. So you're not jumping around. And there's a lot of play. Like, you really have to hop in and play, not to be afraid to play. You'll learn how to lock things in and you'll play around with it. But, John, this was really a very valuable guide, taking a look at colors. Colors can be a million different shades. So what shade do you want to define yourself with? And great advice, look at it in different places, because what you see on the screen might look totally different when you go to print it on something else. So, I encourage everybody to watch this back through, and then, let us know what you might like to learn next. If it's more content creation on Canva, I think the sky's the limit, and we're happy to take the journey with you.
The question down there is there a discount since we're students? I think there is a student version of that, Holly. No,
I don't think so. No.
I'll inquire with Canva to see if they're open to it.
That would be cool. I do know. I mean, I used the free version for a year just to get acquainted and really just feel comfortable. And then when I started seeing these more, the picture pulled and taking yourself, taking out the background, that's kind of when I started, all right, I'm ready for it. But I'll tell you, Canva does so much, even from your LinkedIn pictures. Like, you can look up anything in that little creator tab, from social media sizes and boom, if you have a podcast out there and you need something for your podcast. So it really is versatile and it is worth it. But that would be cool to check to see if we can.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can show them this and be like, look, I'm a big advocate.
Yeah.
And you can do it on your phone.
Holly. Sorry, I just wanted to make fun of Holly.
Go ahead.
You can see you mentioned image puller. You could see what you're not seeing in my image on the left is the 300-pound shark at the end of that fishing pole.
Yeah, he was just in Florida,
I had to get that in.
I think
I
think there needs to be a part 2. I think we got some thirst.
All right,
Yeah.
we can do that.
A
Couple weeks we can do it. Why we still have we've lost some people, but I will be getting the flyer out for for any of our students or alumni. We have a new contest going out, which will be a video where you're on camera explaining your logo, your choice of logo elements, your choice of colors and why, right? And a few other things. So we'll drop that into your mailboxes tomorrow, and you'll have 2 weeks till we meet again. Next week is the Beonair Forum that I think Linda wants to talk a little bit about right now, and then the following week will be Media Makers again.
That's awesome. Thank you, John and Holly. It was a lot of fun tonight to have you both together here. Next week, we're going to come back with the Beonair Forum, and we're very excited to bring filmmaker Cyrus Richardson to you. He's been a very, very successful filmmaker in the Columbus area. He's received funding for a $4 million project. Oh, that's not $4 million, it's $400,000 project. And he's been able to source funding, but he's also been able to grow a very successful business. And he's going to come to you with advice on how to grow your own business and some tips that he wished he knew when he first started out, and to talk about his journey to where he's at. So we invite you to be a part of that. And then we're going to return the following week to the Content Creators Club. And every Monday, there'll be something for you to follow, whether it is a professional or something to learn. And we invite you to be a part of what we're doing here. We are in our 3rd year and very, very proud of this opportunity. So like, subscribe, and join us on YouTube. And until we meet you next time, we will see you on social media. Have a very, very good night. Thank you for joining us.